eager to present their papers in this national conference. Dear friends, India is one of the fastest growing economy in the world. We are the fifth largest economy in the world. In the last less than a decade, our country has shown a tremendous progress in the economy. In 2014, it was $2 trillion economy, and today we are proud that we are around $3.73 trillion. So this achievement in a short span of less than a decade has put us in fifth position in the world economy, and we have overtaken one of the developed countries, that is United Kingdom. I think big round of applause for one of the highest achievement made by our country. Yes, the country has shown a tremendous progress, and three major sectors which has contributed for this progress. We could reach this progress because of the consistent growth in the GDP. We have shown on average maybe around 6.5% to 7% growth in the GDP, and the three major sectors which has contributed immensely for the growth of the economy. One is, of course, agriculture, which is almost contributing around 18% to the GDP. The another is the manufacturing sector, which is contributing almost 24%. And the major contribution has come from the service sector. When I say service sector, it is almost 56% of the GDP has come from the service sector. In the service sector, the major revenue has come from the net export. Almost $250 to $260 billion has come from export. In that, more than 60% has come from IT and BPO services. That means technology has taken the major share in contributing to the economy. And our economy is a knowledge-based economy, and it is driven by technology. We are considered as the technology hub of the world today. Almost 31% of the employment in India comes from this sector, the service sector. So good that we have chosen this very dynamic topic, that is innovation. And definitely, to reach the goal of becoming number 3 in the world economy and reaching a economy of maybe around 6.5 to 7 trillion dollars by 2030, the country has to perform well in technology, and I was telling that we are already named as a technology hub, and taking the leverage of technology, we are inching towards the manufacturing hub also. And along with that, if our country become as innovation hub, and all these three hubs can take us, our country, to an ambitious goal of becoming a developed country by 2047. So definitely when I talk innovation, innovation is nothing but introducing some new things. Wherever innovation is there, there we can find the progress. And innovation comes from, I feel that mostly it is coming from research and development. And when I say that research and development, it is the contribution of the education institutions, academicians, scientists, and no doubt the faculties they have to play a major role in this. I am confident that the way in which the country is progressing, both in technology and as well as in the manufacturing sector, as well as in the service sector, I am very confident that our ambitious goal of 2047 to become one of the developed countries in 2047. Today, among the 195 countries in the world, I think hardly 40 countries are developed, named as developed, which are fulfilling major 4 parameters, and maybe 14 to 15 countries are fulfilling around 3 parameters. And I was telling about innovation. One small example I want to take it, how the innovation can be inseparable in the lifestyle of the people. This one of the example is, I think most of you know, the smart watch. Today, almost 3.50 crores of smart watch is being shipped or is being used in India. It will serve all the functions of computer. Having a watch in the hand, you can see timings. It has served and it is serving as a health measuring operators also. We can measure blood pressure, sugar, and even to the extent of oxygen level in the body. It is also used to control the smart devices of our home smart devices. And it is now the latest chip is that it can be charged with the solar energy also. So it will serve all the purpose. See, you can just see how the innovation can change the society also and the living style of the people also. So I am extremely thankful to the organizing committee for having chosen a right subject for the discussion. I am very confident that this conference is going to contribute a lot for the driving the innovation for our country in 2030. So once again, I welcome all of you on behalf of the Jain Group of Institutions, and my best wishes to every one of you. All the best. Thank you for your patience here.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and letting us know that how important innovation is for our country. Dear participants, we are now moving towards our first session of today's conference, a keynote address session on a new lens for innovation in India. I now request Mr. Uttam Pai, Assistant Vice President, Academics and University Relations, Mines Education, to introduce today's keynote speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, It's my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker for this significant occasion, Mr. Amarpal S. Chada. With over 23 years of invaluable experience in the domain of people advisory, Mr. Amarpal has been a trailblazer in the areas of policy, tax, employment laws, immigration, incentive plans, and social security. Mr. Amarpal is not only a seasoned professional, but also a champion of diversity and inclusivity. As the EY India sponsor partner for disability, he has played a pivotal role in fostering a sustainable environment that embraces diversity. His commitment to making a positive impact is further underscored by his active contribution to various industry forums. A distinguished author, Mr. Amarpal has co-authored 2 case studies on people mobility, both of which have been published in Harvard Business School Publishing's repository and are widely used in prestigious institutions like IIMs across India. What sets Mr. Amarpal apart is his keen engagement with cutting-edge technologies. Actively involved in analytics and automation within the realms of people compliance and reporting, he exemplifies the spirit of innovation that our conference aims to celebrate. Beyond his professional endeavors, Mr. Amarpal is a devoted learner, constantly seeking ideas around wellness, evolution, and happiness. Without further ado, and with a huge round of applause, I will invite Mr. Amarpal Chada to the stage to share his insights and perspective on driving innovation for India 2030. Thank you so much.
So very good morning to all of you. Morning. And thank you, Uttam, for the very nice and warm introduction. I don't know how much of that is true, but yeah, a lot of good words. So thank you. So how's the mood in the room? Are you all awake, or is the coffee kicked in, not kicked in, or yeah? You're all awake? Yeah, a little louder from the rear? Yeah? You know I can see you all from here, isn't it? So if you go off to sleep, I can easily make out whether you are there in the room or you're sleeping. Yeah. So the next 30-40 minutes that I have, I'll try to keep it as entertaining as possible. Okay, I don't want you to sleep in the room. Okay, that's the last thing I have on my agenda. So I'll try to be innovative. Yeah, like what Mr. Bhandari started by saying, I have no better data points to quote, because whatever numbers he gave you are absolute true. In fact, EY vouches a lot of these numbers, and the number he gave you for 2047 is a report that we published along with the ministry. You can just Google it out. 2047 India Story is the name of the report. And you will see that actually this is very doable. This is no longer a dream, or it's not something that we are just hoping that it will happen. This will happen if we don't mess up. Yeah? And we are known to mess up, you know. We find ways to do what is not to be done. Yeah? So all that we need to do is be normal. We are good enough, and I think we're doing a great job as a country. And whose country? Yeah, is country a political party? Whose country? Us, isn't it? We in the room. So if we decide that what we want to do and what we've been doing in the past, yeah, and see, as students and as the great faculty that you are here, a lot of this discussion that the country will do X times and do this. My son, who's very young, is still in school. When he hears all of this on CNBC, because I hear a lot of CNBC at home, yeah, so he hears all this, his simple reaction is, so will your pay become 10x by the time the country grows? So is it directly related to money, or is this something more? The growth of a country, like what Sir said, as a developed country, what's the difference today between a developed country and a developing country? And I would like some engagement, so please feel free to speak. We can pass on mics if needed. Otherwise, you can be loud enough. What's the difference between a developed country and a developing country? Sorry? Otherwise, you can just speak up. It's okay. Poverty. Okay.
Convenience of people.
Convenience of people. I think that's a very big one. Convenience of people is a big one. Poverty, yes, definitely. Job opportunities, yeah. In fact, the developed countries are struggling with job opportunities. We are the hub of job opportunities today. You know, 40% of the STEM jobs lie in India. Growth opportunity. Sorry?
Growth potentiality.
Growth potentiality. Okay. Who said that? Yeah, if you just, yeah, please. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Don't wait for the mic to come to you. You can be loud enough. It will keep you awake.
A country where there's no much difference between per capita income of the lower class of people and higher class of.
Yeah. So a large difference in the per capita income between a different category of people in a country. Okay. That's also seen in developed countries, you know. The principle of 90% of the wealth being with 3 to 4% of the population is actually true everywhere. If you look at the top ionic belt, everywhere it's same. 3 to 4% of the people own 90% of the wealth in the country. Yeah. But quality of life, yes. Standard of living. Okay. So we as a group sitting in such a prestigious institute today and having this discussion, are we developing? We developed. Just for this discussion, developed, isn't it? Developing? Developing? Okay. Okay. And sir, why would you say that we are developing?
So still we are not getting NIR of less than 50 ranking.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a parameter. We need to reach as a highest level. NIR of ranking within 50 is the highest in India. That's why people will went to take as an NIR developing stage.
Okay.
Once you reach NIR of 50, so we can say is a developed level.
I really like your answer. Reason being that it's very easy to say we are developed. Yeah, and so many parameters you pointed out just now. There has to be a benchmark. There has to be a benchmark of past versus current versus future. We don't really need to compare ourselves to the other developed countries. We need to compare ourselves from our past, our current, and our future. To be innovative, isn't it? Sir mentioned a lot about innovation, and I love the definition he gave in simple words: to do some things differently. Yeah. How many of you have read the book Jugaad, the India Innovation? Have you read this book? You would have seen it at airports, railway stations, everywhere that book is being displayed. If you have not, just pick that book up and read. Saying Jugaad may be a very crude word. Yeah, and innovation is a fancy, nice looking word, isn't it? It feels much nicer to say innovation. Jugaad seems like a fix, isn't it? When you use a hairpin or a safety pin to catch on to things, that's Jugaad. Whereas innovation is when you pick up a nice safety pin in a good environment, you use it to create a different product, isn't it? It's the same thing. It's the way of how you put it across. Yeah, and some of this is actually the finesse of a developing versus developed also. Yeah, because everything that we've done in the past in the growth story of India is actually we've been on a train which is burning. You understand the concept of a burning train, isn't it? Or riding a tiger. There are multiple examples you could take. Does anybody know the analogy of riding a tiger? When we say that growth in our country is like riding a tiger, what does that mean? It's an old story, our Indian story, that if you are riding a tiger, you can only ride it, because if you come down off that tiger, he'll eat you. Yeah, so we are in almost an economic scenario where capital is so critical. Yeah, and at the same time, the growth story requires a lot of capital. But if you hear what's happening in the past 6 months, yeah, we've had a funding winter, very strong funding winter in the last 6 to 10 months. A lot of startups are going down, isn't it? And very innovative ones too. Why would you think that's happening? If a story is so good, what's going wrong? I'm just trying to see what's on your mind when it comes to innovation. Because ultimately the discussion is about us, isn't it? It's not about the countries, as we started by saying that. If that is the case, then the discussion has to be about us. So what's your view on what's happening in the market?
It's lack of innovation.
Okay. Plateaued innovation?
Lack of innovation.
Lack of innovation.
Startups are going down because that was the first thing we started with.
Okay.
But they failed to maintain it.
They failed to maintain it. So they did something innovative and then they said, I've reached, and let me just expand this rather than being more innovative. Okay?
More innovative ideas or entrepreneurs who can bring ideas into ecosystem. The most of them are like they were very scared of the risks they face in the future.
So they didn't take enough risk, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's a wonderful point. Is innovation risk taking?
Yes.
Yeah. So what we do with our two-wheelers, is it innovation? Is it risk taking?
Lack of implementation.
Lack of implementation. Okay. Okay. In what context? Are you saying that they had a plan and they didn't implement it, or?
because the capital is ready.
Yeah,
There
okay,
is no proper implementation. There is a lag. Some knowledge is lagging.
okay.
Or sometimes we are not upgrading the expected from the worldwide. What are all the gaps are there? There is no fulfillment also.
Okay.
And one more is, according to the youngsters, knowledgeable whatever we are creating, according to the universities, there will be a gap. There is no, because the industry people are expecting something related to high level, but that level we are not providing the knowledge.
Okay, so your
There
point
will be
is
a gap in between the university framed by the syllabus framed by the university and expectation from the industries. So there is a gap. Because of that gap, knowledge is little less. There will be availability of capital. There is no implementation.
okay, and you make a very important point that education is pivotal to this discussion, isn't it? If you are not
because we have
skilled
to-
enough.
No, enough theory is there, but there is no practical applicability. That is important from our students. We have to give a practical knowledge to get or to implement whatever the innovations already achieved also. Nearly 30 to 40% it is not comes to an end. It is in the under process only. So there will be a gap. So that if you want to fulfill the gap, knowledge is required. Our youngsters has to start a new innovational way of, with the support of technology, they are going to create a new innovation and a new methodology and new way of business. So many things are there in that place because there will be a gap because implementation is totally absent according to me.
Okay, so thanks for sharing that. And if I were to summarize what you just said, there is a gap between the education that is provided. So these people don't have enough knowledge / skills to keep that alive, isn't it? So linking back to our discussion, to be innovative, you need to have the right set of education, knowledge, information to take decisions. Is that, and also the new education policy directs towards that, isn't it? Reducing syllabus, more practical knowledge, more experiments, so that research-oriented work. Okay. So, which is the, yeah, please go ahead. You don't need to raise your hand, you can just speak, it's okay. But you have to be quick. We should not keep anyone waiting. Just
I feel most of the startups they fail because they're not able to adapt the changes.
okay.
So that is what I feel is one of the biggest issue with the startups.
Okay. Name a few startups which you think are really great, which have just started, or which you use.
Actually, I'm working in a startup right now, and this is what I faced in my startup company.
Okay. But any other startup other than yours which you use every day?
Dunzo,
Okay.
Zepto,
Okay.
and
What else? Any other names that you familiar with, like a startup environment, which you use every day?
Mamaearth.
Mamaearth. Okay. What else? Nobody else uses any other? Okay, all the learning ones. Okay. Byju's, Unacademy. Okay.
What I feel, I think innovation is fine, but we have to work for sustainability also. Innovations which are good for sustainability approach, we are lacking the sustainability part. So if we are working for sustainability development, then definitely the environment, it will create an ecosystem which can go further in future. So we are blocking ourselves because we are not creating the ecosystem which can lead towards the growth.
No, absolutely.
We are winding up and then we are going down because we are not creating that ecosystem. So we need to develop that ecosystem by sustainable approach.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Most of the startups fail because they are more into profit orientation rather than sustaining.
But they don't make any money. All startups are just burning.
No, sir. The first focus is that they want to make more of profit rather than sustaining their employees, focus on their employees.
So I'll be very happy to connect with you offline and invest in some startup which makes money, because all startups I have found, they all make losses. They all burn money. You name one which makes money, I'll be very happy to hear. Yeah? Redbus, that's a good example. And it's a very matured startup, isn't it? It's a very, very matured startup.
Bad management of funds and aggressive investment decisions are, leading to a failure of a lot of startups.
Okay.
I think that focus in investing is going away from the core of vision and what it is that they're trying to serve. Many of the startups are failing, recently being fixed because of these financial challenges.
Okay, so this was a trick question. So thank you for all who replied. I wanted to know that what you feel about. I'm coming to you. Some hand is raised there, so I'm coming to you. But your thought process on why startups are not working, because I want to reverse this question and say that how will the startups and innovations work? Because you are part of that discussion, isn't it? So my real input is to find from you that how will the innovation work? Because sir, the point you made, the entire workspace or the research and development framework that we have in India.
Capacity has to be improvised.
Yeah, I'll just come to you, ma'am. So the entire research and development framework that we have in India today, if you really see that, that is the real thing, the whole ecosystem that is around, that is the real engine that is going to drive the innovation. Yeah. If you find one catalyst that will have growth is the framework. And the framework includes what is available today in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of abilities, facilities, education, ideas, all of that together. And at least I feel that for all of us in the room, if there is one beacon of hope, that is this whole R&D framework. Because at a very individual level, for all of us together, see, we all, and if we don't, I think we should start thinking that if we have belief in the power of ideas. See, there are 2-3 things in innovation which are very critical. One, the belief in the power of idea. Second, the belief that the creativity can create magic. Yeah. So power of idea, creativity. So you have to believe. So it's not only talking about it. We have to have belief that there is power in ideas, there is magic in creativity. And foremost, most important, the belief in the human spirit that we can do it. Yeah? If you put all of this together, any innovation can happen. But if we don't believe in these ideas, if we don't believe, and why I asked you why these startups are not successful, to hear from you what are your feelings. Is profiteering, like one of you said, is profiteering. Yes, it's a valid reason, because if the startup owner is thinking of making money from day one, is that the right way to grow and innovate? Yeah. But my own personal take on it is there's nothing bad in making money. All businesses survive for money, and money is one denomination which keeps the whole country united. Okay, the whole world runs behind money, and in a good way, if you look at it, it's a really good way to do business. Businesses can't survive or can't make investments in research and development if they don't make money. Try and think that if the businesses themselves are not able to make money, how will they invest in research and development? Research and development is one of the most expensive investments that any institution has to make. I'm sure for even an educational institution. Yeah. You didn't say that the biggest difference between a developing and a developed country is the investment that the country makes in research and development. We as a country would be making 1%, even less than 1% of our GDP into research and development. Whereas if you look at companies overseas in developed countries, their portion will be double digits. Because they realize that there is a maturity once you become a developed country, unless and until you have new ideas. Yeah. Today, why do countries like US, Canada, Australia provide startup investor visas? Because they want people to just come into their countries. It's a green carpet, red carpet, whatever you call them. If you are a startup guy, you are invited to every country possible. And why would that be? It's not a difficult one. Why would that be? Why would countries get people who have startups? Sorry?
Create opportunity, create an employment opportunity.
You'll create an employment opportunity.
Secondly, it will even contribute to the GDP of the nation.
So the biggest contribution of the startup in a country is the employment opportunities. Because suddenly, from seeking employment, you are providing employment. Isn't that the biggest change that the youth can do today? Because what is the biggest talk in college or prior to college? The placement, isn't it? People start evaluating colleges not based on the grade faculty, but on the placement numbers, which according to me is stupid. Yeah, because you look at the faculty, you look at the kind of learning that happens in an education institution. You see the kind of network that you build, and then you look at the placements. Yeah, and I can vouch for this because my eldest son just sat through the placement. He's from a similar college. And the whole discussion was, and I was trying to tell him, why you want to work? Go do a startup, isn't it? He says, no, startup, if we have to do it, do after class 12th. I said, but where does this genesis come from? And he had a very logical answer to give. He said, I put my 3 years into college. Now I want to work. I don't want to do a startup. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to drive is you can't make a startup happen. The startup comes from inside. And that is the power of idea. And that requires knowledge. Like what ma'am was saying, you have to read, you have to understand what's happening, you have to be very aware. At least be aware of what's happening around you. Yeah, I'm sure some of you sitting in the room already have those ideas with you. And that is what the power of innovation is. That's the real innovation. See, we can all talk about, and you can read multiple data points in economic survey, in the Niti Aayog report. There are hundreds of documents on innovation. But does that put pressure on you, or does that help you do anything? What does that do to you when I tell you that the economy will grow 10 times by 2047? What does that do to you? Do you really feel very excited and you do better? You do? Actually, I don't. I feel pressurized. I have too much pressure. Everyone's growing. That means I need to work even harder. Why? I want to enjoy my cup of coffee. I want to read my newspaper. Why so much pressure? Do you agree or you don't agree? Yeah? We've had this broad discussion on the last 2 months of 70 hours a week, isn't it? And he's one of my idols I follow very closely. Yeah? The whole discussion. I don't know whether you've seen his interview with Shireen Bhan. Have you seen Mr. Murthy's and Mrs. Sudha Murthy's interview with Shireen Bhan? If you not just see, he's trying to explain why 70. And I'm not vouching for his innovation, his style of working, but what he says makes sense, isn't it? But I'm not saying he's right, and I'm not saying he's wrong. Because each one of us has different priorities in life, isn't it? Our innovations are based on the time and effort we can put in, and they are based on our circumstances. So please don't go blind by saying that I can do everything or my neighbor is doing, so I have to do it. Yeah. In our times, there used to be a TV company called Onida. Sir, you must have heard of Onida. I'm sure none of you have heard of Onida. Yeah? Has anybody heard Onida or no? So my age group has heard. So why I remember that company, they had an ad tagline. Neighbors envy, owner's pride. Yeah, neighbors envy, owner's pride. So the whole objective of selling that TV was that your neighbor will be envious of what you buy. Yeah. Now we can laugh on it, but it's a very negative connotation, isn't it? But it's true. And today social media has proved that, isn't it? It is just neighbors envy, owner's pride. The entire social media, if I can summarize, is the same for me. Yeah, I am on every platform of social media, and I realize that's what you do. In the morning when you get up, you see how many likes you got. Isn't it? Yeah, I like that person. Why didn't he or she like me back? Yeah. Innovation is needed, isn't it? So I need to be more creative there. Yeah, is that not innovation? Today people have created businesses on Instagram. The influencers are a very rich community today. And they've created sustainable, so to your point, sustainable business models. Because now companies like Hindustan Lever, large companies want to work with influencers, whom they will never let them enter their doors. Isn't it? Influencers are who? They are private people who've created a brand out of nothing. Yeah, just by eating in a fancier way or carrying stuff with them or wearing stuff or talking about places, but they've created a brand.
Fine example, Indulekha Brinda and Hindustan Lever. A brand which was created by Indulekha Brinda without any brand name, just like that it started because of the awareness and because of the product gives the satisfaction, and they got a good profit. Immediately it was targeted by Unilever.
Yes, so innovation doesn't require really rocket science. And I think Mr. Bhandari mentioned that in the beginning. Many of you are studying, many of you are teaching. What comes on your mind when we speak about innovation? Do you innovate every day? Do you do things differently? Does any one of you cook? Do you innovate in your cooking? Yeah, you want to say something? Go ahead. Sorry? For me, when the dish is spoiled, I said I tried something new. That's innovation. Improvisation. Yes, that's innovation, isn't it? When you try do things differently, that's innovation. When does innovation become valuable?
when the patterns get changes every day when we do the things.
It becomes valuable when we, okay. What else? When does an innovation become valuable?
When I'm able to satisfy someone's needs.
When you are able to satisfy someone's needs. Very, very important. Yes.
Innovation is a solution.
Innovation is a solution. Solution to a problem, satisfy somebody's needs, hitting the nail on the head. What else? When does innovation become valuable?
When it's accessible to everyone.
When it is accessible to everyone, free or at cost? Or does that matter?
At cost.
It matters? Okay. You said at cost. Okay. What else? When does innovation become valuable? Scalable, yes. Give me a name of few businesses that only exist in India. For example, let's compare India-US. And those are big manufacturing companies. So I'm talking about new age businesses that have got created. Swiggy. Yeah. Does Swiggy exist in any developed country? Yeah, Uber Eats. Yes. But Uber Eats is so expensive. It's sometimes more expensive than the food that they deliver. Yeah. Ola is an import concept, isn't it? We got Uber first and we got them into India. Ather is an electric scooter, isn't it?
ID.
Huh?
ID.
ID, the company which makes batter. Okay.
Country delight.
Country delight. Okay. Businesses which don't exist in developed countries, in our countries, is very possible to do it. And some of these are good examples. For example, Swiggy, the whole platform employees, I think that concept cannot exist in any developed countries. So you have Swiggy, you have all these Rapidos, bike taxis. That concept is on a platform economy where you get so many people to do things. But nothing on digital, fintech. UPI. I was waiting for this answer. UPI. Yeah, you're sitting so close, you should have said earlier. Yeah? So, digital fintech. You know, when anyone who comes from overseas, and they had showcased in the G20 meeting also, that you could actually withdraw money from the ATM machine without an ATM card. That concept doesn't exist anywhere in the world. Okay? And to have a street vendor giving you a barcode, it's like people go crazy. There was a time, and I've seen country growing past 25 years, people used to click photographs of bullock carts in India. And now they click photographs of PTMs and all these logos kept on vegetable vendors. They get superbly amazed that how could you do this? How is this even possible that somebody can be so digitally connected? People have not even imagined this. Okay, now when we travel overseas, we feel how backward these guys are. Because for everything they need cash. Half the stores, they don't take any digital means. They don't trust your credit cards. They prefer cash. There's still that old economy. Yeah. So businesses, yeah, somebody's raised the hand there, so I can't see you. You can please go ahead and speak. You want to speak?
Sir, excuse me. Now banks are also introduced digital money. Like Canara Bank is also introduced digital money. I'm also a Canara Bank.
Okay, great.
I'm in that group. Digital money.
So hats off to all banking professionals. I would say that the country is really pivoted on the fintech. And also the new startups that are coming with ideas on what can be done with fintech. I know some of that is heavily scrutinized by RBI today. For example, I was working with a company called FamPay, which wanted to give money to children below 18 in an app, which is not permitted under our regulations, but they created a concept called FamPay, where your children can have digital money, but you can access it. So you put their pocket money in a digital app, which they use it, but you can see where they are spending. Yeah, so there are no laws of privacy there, so you can see what your children are spending money on. Yeah, but things like that, very, very creative people. And I'm bringing the discussion back to what Sir said in the beginning, innovation is part of our education. So the point I mentioned to you that you don't need to really say that if I had to do a startup, I should have started after class 12th. Innovation can happen. People at the age of 50 have gone and started businesses. Okay?
At the age of 60 only,
Yeah.
KFC.
Yeah, so I can see, ma'am, the love for KFC, but yes, I'm also vegetarian that way, but yes, he started the business at the age of 65. So KFC was started by a person who was 65. Yeah, And which company was he working with before? There was another burger company he used to work with. And it's in Bangalore also, you would know. Starts with W. Yeah, so Wendy's is the name of the company. They used to work there, and then when he retired, he realized these guys are stupid. I could do the business so much better, and he's skilled. What was the success of McDonald's story? What did he do different? Yeah, who said that? Wonderful answer. Because his success was not on the burger, not on the chicken. His success was on real estate. He said, we will create outlets at prime spots across the world, but we will own that real estate. So he pivoted to a model from franchisee of all times to owning each store. And their balance sheet actually is more stronger on their real estate valuation than our sales from food. Because it's difficult now to say whether they are a real estate company or whether they are an FMCG company or are they a food company. Because kind of diversification they have on their balance sheet is amazing. Yeah. Okay. Someone else? Any other thoughts on innovation? When does innovation become valuable and can you do it? I'm just adding the last portion now. And can you do it?
Yes, innovation is never anyone.
Create something different.
Who said patented? Ma'am, thank you for bringing that up. So, a lot of university, including Jain University, there is a lot of research that happens. Yeah. The difference between our country and the developed countries is the patent mechanism, that IP protection. Universities which have been very successful register all IPs at the university level because they invest along with industry and make the IP to a commercial stage. Most of our research in Indian universities, including IITs and others, gets stopped at the research stage. The commercial exploitation of the idea needs to be registered back with the IP so that the technology can actually belong to the institute. Yeah, so that's a big change we will see coming in the future years, that IP will become very, very important. Do you all understand IP? Means I love you so you can't love somebody else. Yeah, it's not a true statement, isn't it? Is it a true statement? Very, very silent, very nice people, isn't it? Yeah? It's a false statement, isn't it? But an IP means that the idea behind this product is mine. You could make similar products, but you can't use this technology unless you pay me a license fee. You can use it, but you need to pay me a license fee. So if I have a patent registered in my name, I just retire. You do the work and you pay me license fee. Isn't it? Because now my idea sells without I doing anything. That's how important a patent is. Yeah, and Indian patent laws are still undergoing a lot of change and are very debatable in a global environment. Yeah. Good point, ma'am. What else? What else is critical for innovation?
Commercially viable or feasible.
Commercially viable or feasible? The example the teams were giving before, Zepto and all, are they commercially viable? They send a delivery with free or 10 rupees. And if I were to go and do that fuel, it will be at least 50 rupees in the bike also.
The cost patience, none of these startups are feasible at the beginning stage. So maybe people are lacking that patience.
So, sir, let's say developed examples. Google Maps. Is it still free? Do you pay anything for Google Maps? Why are they doing so much charity with you? For years we are all using Google Maps. Have we paid 1 rupee? You paid for Google Maps? Who's paying for Google Maps? No, none of us pay, isn't it? So why are they doing this charity? I'm coming to Sir's point that he has raised. Data. Okay. So
We are paying for internet.
you're paying for internet, but that goes to Airtel, Vodafone. That doesn't reach his Google, isn't it? So I think Uttam's answer is right. It is data is the, as they say, data is the new oil, isn't it? So data is everything. Companies like ours, Ernst & Young, we actually thrive on data. Okay, because data analytics has become the new thing. Everything is data. And sir, to your example on Zepto, I wanted to come back. How they earn money. They do this, they do incur huge losses first few years. But now the situation has come even with Zepto that if you need to list your product with Zepto, you need to pay them a huge fee. So today, a consumer is not paying. But if a product, for example, a Lay's chip is to list on Zepto, they will take 2 rupees a packet from Lay's. And then only will they list the product at Zepto. Or because we are so mobile friendly, when we open the Zepto screen, the products that come first, almost 30 to 40% it goes to Zepto's pocket. Because that's actually advertisement without us realizing. It just shows what we buy every day, but in a list. So I'm just giving you examples of how innovation can come in simple things. You want to say something? Please go ahead.
So for me, innovation would be successful as long as it has got a better future potential.
Future potential. I think someone here also said sustainable. Future potential. Definitely. But when you do a startup, do you have a future potential?
Definitely you do a market research and you get to know whether your product would be will it sustain in the market or what are the choices of the customers. So accordingly you come up with the startup ideas.
So I'll link this back to what you're saying. You said a very important thing that you do a market research and come. How do you do market research?
Sir, if you're going with something like a similar product, but it has got something different from what is there in the market, you can come to and estimate like exactly whether the customers will prefer your product.
So market information, data analysis. How do you learn all of that? To research. The means of research are taught in education institutions like this. So why STEM education? Okay, I know it's a mixed batch here. We have STEM, we have non-STEM, and all are needed in the growth story. But the ability to learn when you are in college, these analytical skills. Okay, you are at the right age. Like if you heard Uttam, it was very boring on my profile, but I did spend 2 years learning analytics very late in life. Yeah, so I went through a very detailed course in analytics because I was told that my degrees, which I have, which are a CA and a law degree, have no value now. Unless I understand that how I can use the data that comes in a very different manner. So I need to analyze this with new skills, new data. To your point on market research, the ability for any startup, you can't be just successful based on an idea. It will never be commercially sustainable unless you've done market research, you've done a viability concept, you've done funding, you maintain your funding. Otherwise, everything will dry up in a few months, few years. That's why we see that 90% of the startups fail, isn't it? 90% of the startup don't sustain.
Everything can be possible with the help of literacy and data.
Yes, ma'am. Literacy is both good and bad because on a lighter vein, people say that if everyone's literate, it's very difficult to run a country because everyone has an opinion then. Isn't it? So, but you're right, literacy is very, very important. But from a term of startups, I think literacy is great and digital literacy is even more important. So I've seen people who can use mobile because some of these apps that are being designed are also designed in all local languages. The ability for people to interface with an app. How many of you know of a company called News Hunt? Yeah. Have you heard about News Hunt? Yeah. So they use only local medium. Each city they push news only in local medium. And if you meet the promoter of that company, he's pretty clear. He's pretty clear that, and in fact, he's become so strong today that if elections come by, he's put on extra protection. Because people want to say, can you put my feed into News Hunt? Isn't it? He's become so impactful in smaller cities that he could be at risk of running an election campaign of his own. So he has to actually stay away from everyone if he wants to run this business. Yeah. But coming to my last point, I know my time is over. Coming to my last point, is diplomacy important in innovation? Very important. People may have different views. Is diplomacy important? Can you run a startup with diplomacy? Sorry?
Have to, sir.
Have to. Okay. So that's story of our life, but I'm just asking that startup because see the young blood is very different. Like my son feels there is no space for diplomacy in this world. He says if you have to do something, you have to do something. How can you be diplomat? How can you be not who you are with somebody else whom you like or whom you work with? The younger generation has a different perspective to this. But what's your take? Is diplomacy important? Do you need to know? Depends on what?
Depends on the situation, depends upon people with whom you are dealing.
So are we diplomat at home?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. So Indra Nooyi's latest interview, if you see, she said the biggest learning of my life was at home only listen. Don't speak. She said that's the only way I made peace because I used to leave my crown in my garage when I used to enter the house. And when I was in the house, I would only listen but not reply. And everybody would think that I'm listening to them and they were all happy. But I was focused. Yeah. In fact, in one of her interviews, she said that in our family, when Indra Nooyi was growing up, in their family, the setup was such that at dinner time, father would have a meal in 5 minutes and go. And both the daughters would sit with the mother, and mother would give them an essay kind of a thing every day in discussion, saying that, yeah, if you're a prime minister, if you're a president, every day, and maybe this is an exaggeration, must have happened at least twice a week or twice a month, but the thought process that you have to be independent. And I think that's very, very important in the theme of innovation. In my concluding remarks, I would just like to say that in the theme of innovation, you have to find that for yourself. And I started by saying country is us, us is actually I. So you need to have your own thought on what is that you do with innovation. It is as strong and as equal a subject as all others in life. And that's the only one which will stay with you forever. Isn't it? You need to innovate every day in everything that we do. And we do actually, without being told, because that's how our mind works. Isn't it? And also our upbringing in our country has been that we have to be innovative. Yeah? And we had to be diplomatic always. From everybody, from the help who would come home, from somebody whom you report to your own family, we've always been taught to be diplomatic. And that is why if you see most of the successful profit-making companies have Indian CEOs. Is it true? Is it true? Today IBM has had a big turnaround, isn't it? It's suddenly so much more profitable, the stock price is doing amazing. Why? Because Mr. Arvind Krishnan is at the helm of the affairs, isn't it? He's changing the company like anything. Yeah? And why is that? And that's to ma'am's point on diplomacy, that it is inbuilt into us. And we should be thankful for that. Yeah? Because we didn't have to learn it in a class. We were taught at home, isn't it? Not by as a subject, but by practice. Okay? So you would know when your father would get angry and will manage.
Based on experience.
Based on experience, yeah. And we didn't have to seek that experience. That was forced on us. Almost, isn't it? We were always told. Like small example, in a house they would say if some guest has got you a gift, you don't open it till they go. And I still don't understand it. Because I'm excited, I want to see what you got for me. So I'll open it then. And I still do it, okay? And my mother would say, totally, nalayak is the word she would use. Like, why would you do that? It's so rude.
Huh? So Indian moms never talk. Just eyes.
Just eyes enough, isn't it? Because you know after that you'll get one, isn't it? We've grown up like that, now it's a crime. But we would know that if you don't abide, then there is a physical punishment to everything we did. So would you agree, isn't it? We've grown up like that, all of us. Yeah. So I'll conclude. I just want you to remember, if you can, from my session, just three things. Yeah. One, the power of idea. Okay. And your own idea. I'm not saying pick anybody else's idea. If you can please believe in the power of idea and the magic of creativity. Yeah, these two things, plus the belief on yourself, that all of us can do it. It is no special talent, there is no special formula that somebody else has created. It is just application of the mind towards innovation. So if you can believe in yourself on the power of idea and the magic of creativity, try different things. Don't try to be too secure too early in your career. That's all I'll tell you. Because it's like you can get stuck in that, how should I say it, chakra view, isn't it? That if you want to be very comfortable very early in the life, so try new things, learn new things and pick it up from there. Yeah. Sorry, I took 5 extra minutes from my time, but thank you very much. You've been a very nice audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for setting the pitch. The session really fosters a productive exchange of insights and knowledge. The participants can now ask their questions.
Any questions? Go ahead. Anything you want to ask, please go ahead.
So, she's asking one after the.
So we have been talking about innovation all these while. So I just want to tell you that AI is a part of innovation, right? So, but also we also noticed that AI has been taking up a lot of jobs as well. So how can we address that and make sure that innovation still stays?
So when the nuclear ammunition spree happened, what did countries do? When everybody started creating nuclear bombs for each other, what did other countries do? What choices did they have? So everybody joined the war, isn't it? We also have nuclear weapons. So do our enemies. They all have nuclear weapons. AI is like that. You either join the party or you go to sleep. So very simple, you have to be, so AI today has taken approximately 33% of the jobs.
Yeah.
Our prediction is it will be 50% very soon. So you need to be on the side, and that's what I was trying to share my own experience, that if I had not gone to the path of more analytics, more data, I would be redundant by now. So will not call me. Isn't it? So I'm just giving you an example. You have to be on the sides of analytics. But I'm not saying change your profession. But understand in your profession, what could you do better, or your line of studies, what could you do better to be ready to deal with AI? You see, even in law today, a lot of AI is doing what? You are able to today, actually on AI, you have seen there have been experiments where somebody could actually pass a bar exam. AI can pass the bar exam, So they test only MBBS is the one which AI has not been able to crack. All other exams AI has been able to crack. So I would say AI is a better friend than enemy. So do that, and I think that's the right answer.
But sir, I feel I'm sure a lot of people do agree with this. There are a lot of jobs which are kind of like simplified jobs which people were doing and making like basic amount of money, maybe 20K or 30K, and that's how they used to live with it. They are still living with 30K of amount, but these jobs where it is being taken off by AI, because those simplified jobs can be done by AI, right? So people who don't have the ability to do better jobs, then they're literally losing out on a lot of money, and they're literally losing out on their livelihood as well. So is there a possibility to somehow ensure that the employment still stays?
Sure. And I think on the human side, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
It is very difficult for people to lose the only source of livelihood, and can be a really big economic drain. So 100% with you on the human side. On the business side, and I think I will ask Mr. Bhandari to contribute, because I remember when computerization came to banks for the first time. Yeah, so it must be at least 25 years back. I still remember that everybody put their effort to get trained into how to use a computer, because it was known that there will be no manual job left in the bank, and the banking system was all manual. So when I did audits in a banking system, we used to actually use a calculator and do the trial balance and do everything. Today, if you tell somebody, they would say that, okay, you're different, you're antique. Yeah, but those changes came. So, sir, would you like to share some perspective?
No, there are certain functions which cannot be replaced by AI. Because, for example, human talent, decision making. Okay. So, as you rightly said, when the computerization was introduced in the banking, everyone was under the impression that the jobs will not be there, employment will not be there in the banks. But today, if you see, the productivity has gone up, and the number of employment also has gone up, instead of retrenching the people. So, definitely AI is not going to replace the human talent. Maybe to certain extent it may do some, but when compared to the productivity of this one, it will be 100% it contributes. AI is contributing more to the productivity. It is so. It is so.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
So human side, we are with you 100%. So it is as painful, and some of our near dear ones would go through this experience, isn't it? So we are not disagreeing with you at all.
Yeah.
So you want to say?
Common say, the smart people never make powerful people their enemy. They make the powerful people their friend. AI can take away a job, but we are fighting with the AI. I'm totally agree with sir and your experience. We are adding AI in the skill set. It is your good friend, and then you more productive. It will not remove you out of your job, but it will extend your job. Based on considering AI as an enemy, no. Your friend. Suppose I'm writing one book on marketing research. If AI can help me to write a better way, then it will not take over my job, but it will extend my job. It will improve my thing. So I think AI is not an enemy, it's a friend.
And so from your example of the book, I can suggest one book. I suggested one earlier. Which one did I suggest? Jugaad. The other one on Sir's point is how to hug up occupying. How to hug up occupying. Read that book, you will get a lot of perspective in life. And exactly to what Sir is saying, that when you have to make enemies your friends. Yeah. So because a porcupine is difficult to hug, isn't it? It will shoot you with all the spikes immediately. But that book sort of gives you a very good perspective of how to hug a porcupine.
Hello, so my question to you is, we have seen 90% of startups have failed. So what is your suggestion for the existing and also the new startups to be profitable in the industries?
So, but I will qualify my statement that 90% of the startups have failed, but 100% of the promoters of those failed startups are doing very well.
Okay.
Reason being because the experience they had running that startup, they became a very valuable resource for every company. They all got hired by the best brands because they went out and put themselves out doing an adventure. So companies really value that kind of a talent because somebody who has that entrepreneurial ability, and somebody, you will also know by experience that somebody who's gone through a bad time, they learn a lot. So to run a startup and go through that experience, they became valuable resources. So my advice would always be that everyone should try and believe in the power of idea. I am very strong believer that if you have an idea, you should try it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So the problem is that we put this benchmark of what is your monthly salary. Okay, so if you compare everything with what your friends are taking home every one day, even parents do that, isn't it? How much are your friends making? How much offer? So if I go home and say I got this offer, they say, okay, how much does Sham get? Because there is a comparison everywhere in the world, and that's the biggest evil, I would think. If somebody can just let people be and say, do what you want to for some years. Because we are now not in a situation of poverty. We are in a different world where people can survive doing different things. Yeah, please. Anyone else? Any question?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So, like Sir said, when you make AI your best friend, so if everyone gets access to that, people will be, almost all the people will have access to AI. So, and AI generates the same things. So if I'm writing a book and someone else is writing a book, it will literally be the same.
You are absolutely right. So, and you raised the Gen AI part. So Gen AI is killer. It's killer. I don't know how many of you are using ChatGPT. Are you all using ChatGPT? Do you have it on your mobile? Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, so your teachers are also using ChatGPT. So how would you survive? Isn't it? So it's very, very difficult. But I still think ChatGPT is great.
So
because any innovation, but from an author or any scribe perspective, in the media industry, newspapers, it's become a very big pain. I myself, I work very closely with TOI editor on budget and everything. They also now put their text through a ChatGPT to see if there is any duplicacy or people. So everyone's using it. Now today, if you decide, no, I don't want to use it, it's like saying that I don't like protein bars. Okay, because they're unhygienic. So there is a point of view on that, isn't it? We can have a full discussion on that. But the net result, it is selling. Companies like ITC buy yoga bars, isn't it? So businesses are businesses.
But sir, when you speak about innovation, when you speak about ideation,
so Gen AI is a killer of innovation.
Exactly.
It is a killer of innovation. I agree with you. So, but why did I bring the point of diplomacy? Our ability to accept what we can't change. See, businesses work in an environment. We have to accept that environment and proceed accordingly.
But sir, in today's date, businesses are very cutthroat too. So if you stay diplomatic, the potential for growth becomes lesser because if you sit and please everyone, you won't get pleased.
So I have a very simple suggestion for you. Don't waste so much time thinking. Action. And then see. It's better to get slapped on the face rather than on the back.
Fair.
Just act. It's okay. We will all learn that. See, the more you go into theory, the more you think, the less you can act. So one of my very close friends from college is from a business family. His father, a very, very learned person, he would say the more you get educated, the less ambitious you become. Because you know the law, now you are also thinking what to do. So just act. Yeah, absolutely. You had a question, sorry, I stopped you at that time. You wanted to ask something, isn't it?
No, it's answered.
It's answered? Okay. Yeah, please.
Yeah, by addressing only the last question, it is a time constraint. Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am, for that.
Sir, so innovation is based on passion, right? You would say that.
It's based on passion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Passion and like.
I heard fashion, so I was just.
Passion, sir, passion.
I got it.
So I just want to know that for someone who like been in the class, staying in the rules and never been outside or learning from the outside curve before, like how can we learn about our passion or like know what we really love or really like and learn about those things and then have an innovation for that? Because like that is the starting point that we really need to understand ourselves first, then we can understand that what could we make or what could we learn from it. That is what I want to know.
So I think it's a very tough question, but I'll try to answer that in a simple way. If you can stay standing, I can see you. If you sit, I won't be able to see you. Yeah. So from a very simplistic perspective, like what I said, innovation cannot be taught. And if you want to learn innovation, you can't say today I will learn innovation. Innovation is an experience. So if you, like what you started by saying, always been in the class, follow rules, I understand. What you're saying is I'm a good student. Okay, I've been always attending classes, everything is fine. Innovation learning will really come from experimenting. So each and everything that you do today, just think once more, can it be done differently? There is a start point of innovation. Yeah, it could be as simple as getting down from the left side of the bed vis-a-vis the right side of the bed. Keeping your slippers near to you or not keeping the slippers near to you. As simple as that. Innovation starts from there. That you try do things differently and see if the results are better. And then you, like people said, make it sustainable, see how the idea grows. And I don't think there should ever be a feeling that I lack innovation. That's not a discussion to have. We all are very innovative. So I'm not trying to anyway leave this thought in your mind that some people are more innovative, less. Nothing like it. We all have our background, our life pattern, the way we've been brought up. So we will all be very different. There is no need to compare ourselves to say X is more innovative and I am less innovative. Nothing like that. Everything that we do can be different. Simple. Also, one easy way is to respect the other person's ideas. Like what Sir said earlier, that if you can make friends with people who are more powerful, I would make it nicer by saying friends with everyone who's different than you. Then you say, okay, maybe let's respect the idea and not use my thing that this person is good or bad. Power of idea should be our biggest religion. So if I can understand the power of idea, the rest all falls in place. Sorry, long answer to your question because you were at 2-3 places, so I wanted to clarify.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? Are you?
Yes, sir. It's clarified, sir. But at the last, I would ask again that like, what if we go through with our ideas and then we kind of like not passionate about it? And
that's fine. Leave it.
Yes,
not
sir.
everything in life is love. There's a lot of attraction, isn't it? So it's fine. You let a few things go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone. I now request Sri Ravindra Bhandari to hand over the token of gratitude to Mr. Amarpal S. Chadha. I request Ms. Sheetal Ukeri, Coordinator, School of Commerce, to hand over the token of gratitude to Sri Ravindra Bhandari.
This is what I have practiced for the last 35 years. Okay? Wonderful.
Will be paid for high tea arranged outside the audit towards your left. Kindly be back by 11:40 as we will be starting the panel discussion. BCom students can go back to their respective classes. Thank you.
I will check with the business.
Sampling is there.
So, really great help.
Teachers are requested to exit from the left side, please. I request the teachers to exit from the left side. Yes, sir.
ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಇದೆ ಖುಷಿದೆ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿನ 36 ನಿಮಿಷ ಇದೆಯಾ ಆಗೋದು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮತ್ತೆಲ್ಲ ಫುಲ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿ 15 ನಿಮಿಷ